the first
ขึ้นไหมพี่
workshop in our
ไม่มีอ่ะ
series of transnational access opportunities at European research infrastructures. We're focusing on environment and climate research today. We will have additional workshops in the coming month. And to start today's session, please allow us to introduce the speakers today. Maybe Aldo, if you would like to start.
Okay, I'm Aldo Della Riccia. I'm the team leader of the Enhanced Regional EU-ASEAN Dialogue Instrument, which is a project financed by the European Union that promotes the exchanges and dialogue between the European Union and ASEAN on the most different subjects, including science, research, technology, and innovation. And we support the efforts of ASEAN in these areas. And we are a team of 3, and I give the floor to Susanna.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Aldo's colleague. My name is Susanna Rensevasu. I'm also part of the E-READI team, and I'm joining you from Singapore, and I'm handing over to Bangkok.
Good morning, our speakers from Europe, and good afternoon, everybody from ASEAN. My name is Simon Grimley. I'm a colleague of Aldo's and Susanna, and joining you from Bangkok. Great to be here.
And maybe we start with Daniele.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Daniele Gizzi. I'm from Italy, and thank you very much to invite me in this webinar.
Thank you. Rosa?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Rosa Maria Petracaltieri, so a long name. I work for Actress and specifically in the Service and Access Management Unit of the Actress Office, and based in Italy, but now joining from Helsinki in Finland, where we have a parallel meeting with our head office. So,
thank you. And Jana, please.
Hello from Central Europe. I am Jana Klanova. I am director of RECETOX, which is the European Center of Excellence for Environmental Health. We are at Masaryk University in Brno, and I'm also the coordinator of the European S3 infrastructure, E-READI, on environmental health.
Thank you so much. And then I hand over also to our first speaker today. It is Ms. Ronkanok Tanchachit. Kunnat, please.
Okay, good afternoon to our colleagues from across ASEAN, and very good morning to our participants and speakers joining us from Europe. My name is Nat, that Kun Susan already mentioned. Actually, Nat is the short name. The long name is Sornkranok Tangchachit. I am a director of International Collaboration Division at the Thailand's National Science and Technology Development Agency, or NSTDA. And I am also serve as the Secretariat on the ASEAN Regional Research Infrastructure Strategy Task Force. It is a pleasure to welcome you to our first transnational and virtual access opportunities at the European Research Infrastructures, spotlight on environment and climate research. This is when it's part of our commitment to strengthen EU-ASEAN scientific collaboration by fostering new pathways for collaboration, innovation, and knowledge exchange. We are truly delighted to see such a diverse group of researchers, policymakers, and institutional partners with us today. Transnational access is a powerful enabler, and it allows researchers to benefit from state-of-the-art research infrastructures, from advanced laboratories to rich data set beyond national borders. Whether on-site or remote, these opportunities empower scientists to undertake high-quality research that may otherwise be out of reach. Today's workshop, organized by E-READI in collaboration with the ASEAN Regional Research Infrastructure Strategy Task Force and RISC Europe, will introduce you to some of Europe leading research infrastructures with a special focus on environment and climate science. You will hear from key experts representing ACRIS, E-READI, and E-READI, and receive practical guidance on how ASEAN researchers can access and benefit from these valuable resources. We encourage you to engage activities, ask questions, interact with our speakers, and consider how you and your institutes might take advantage of these opportunities to pursue impactful collaboration research on some of the world's most pressing challenges. Thank you once again for joining us. Let's begin our journey into unlock global research potential together. So to start, I'm pleased to welcome Mr. Daniel Gissi, coordinator of REACH Europe project, the European Network for National Contact Points for Research Infrastructure under Horizon Europe. Daniel, the screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed for the invitation and for the introduction. I already anticipated. I am the coordinator of REACH Europe, and I'm here because in the framework of the project, we organized different activities aimed to promote the TNA. So in my presentation, I'll try to explain in a simple way what are the TNAs and the services that REACH Europe provide for free. This is important to underline. So first of all, when we are talking about TNA, I know there is some cases is a little bit complex, the terminology used by the European Commission. We are talking about physical or virtual access to research infrastructures, facilities for researchers. So it doesn't mean that researchers can move from their own country to another one to work, to visit, to make research, make experiment in the premises of European research infrastructure. The European Commission, through some project that we are going also later to explore, provide reimbursement for the researchers, for travel, for the accommodation, and all the other subsistence costs that can be faced by the researchers. And of course, the free use of the technology and the laboratories in the research infrastructure that they are visiting. So this is very important to understand what we are talking about. The access, so-called, can be virtual when it's possible to make the research, make the experience in a virtual way, or physical. So the researcher from, for example, Indonesia, moved to Europe, stay 1 week, 2 weeks, depending on the facilities and depending on the experiment, doing his research and then keeping the results and back to his country. I would like also to underline that these opportunities is open in the 90% of the cases to all European researchers and also from non-EU countries. It depends from the TNA calls, but the 90% of the cases, all the researchers from all over the world are eligible to be reimbursed. These are the core principles of the why the European Commission invested and is still investing in the promotion and this financing the TNAs. And these are the general synthesis, if I can say that, of the TNA. Are something provided free of charge. This is very important for the people that are attending now to understand that this opportunity is free of charge, is based on some requirements. So the participant, the interested researchers can apply, putting in an application form their ideas, why they are asking for access to a research infrastructure. And then if they are shortlisted, they can be moved and reimbursed, receive the reimbursement for the cost. What is important to say also is that this opportunity is open to the single researchers, but also if the experiment, if the research that must be carried on require that, also for group of researchers. I would like to very stress on that again, because we are talking about I think several participants from non-EU countries, so important to underline again, research from all over the world are eligible for reimbursement. Can be some exception, but in 90% of the cases, all the TNA are always open to researchers from all over the world. Now, to as Reach Europe, we provide some, I repeat, we provide for free some services, some tool to promote the TNA. The first tool is the database. In the Reach Europe website, the website of our project, you find a full database where there are listed all the TNA's opportunity open. So you can just visit, check your search domain, check the status if the call is open or closed or is forthcoming. And then there is a short description of the TNA with the link that forward you to the official research infrastructure webpage where you can find the information to apply. Then what we do is also organize specific webinars on selected TNA. We select we organize at least 3 webinars per year where we invite a representative of the project that offered TNA's opportunity to explain in detail the content on the TNA, and also a webinar like this one we try to promote among the research community. This is instead the database. Of course, this is just screenshot of our website, but you can just visit it, Reach Europe project. You should find, otherwise the slide will be shared with you together with the link. You can see this is the structure. There is for each project, there is a short description and then the direct link to know more about the project and more info about also the access with the template form for the with the documents required to submit your application. Moreover, to make the life easier of the researcher to better understand what we are talking about, we also prepared a leaflet on TNA. This leaflet will be shared together with my presentation to all the participants, with also some hyperlink, where describe in a nutshell the TNA, the TNA, the principle, who can apply, how, and how apply. This is something on which we invest a lot because we think is a real good opportunity for the researcher to use facility in Europe to contribute to the growth of research, European research area in a common with common and shared benefit. I think I'm quite on time. So of course, if you have any question, I'm happy to reply. And in case you can just mail us to reach.coordinator@abre.it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel, for the comprehensive overview of transnational access. Now I am now pleased to invite Dr. Rosa Maria Petrachiers Altiria. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this quite wrong. The technologist and project manager of the National Research Council of Italy. She also served as the access officer and liaison officer of ACTRIS, the aerosol, cloud, and trace gases research infrastructure. Dr. Rosa, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, sharing with you. Okay. Oops. Right. Okay. You should see my screen now. In full presenter mode. So thank you for the introduction, and especially thank you for this invitation to share with all of you our experience on access provision. As I said at the beginning, I'm working with the Actress Service and Access Management Unit, and we centrally manage for the entire research infrastructure the user request to access our services. But before giving you the details on how we provide and organize access in Actress, I would like to introduce you a bit to Actress. So Actress is a big research infrastructure, is a pan-European research infrastructure which is supporting with these services the atmospheric research on the short-lived atmospheric constituents. You see here the main variables that we are studying: aerosol, clouds, and trace gases. And we study that with state-of-the-art techniques, both in situ and remote sensing. And this is our services are to support understanding the process and their impacts on the Earth's climate, air quality, and ecosystem. So our facilities here, just to give you an idea of the possible offer that we have. Actress is legally established as an ERIC, meaning a European Research Infrastructure Consortium, is a legal entity in European law. It includes 17 EU member countries, but most importantly, it includes more than 100 atmospheric facilities, providing really a lot of services to users from all over the world. And you see, we have central facility at European level, the Actress head office, which my unit is in, the data center for the provision of all the data collected, measured by the observational facilities that we have at national level. And along with this, we also have some important exploratory facilities where users can come and like simulate atmospheric simulation chambers or mobile facilities where the user can come and run their own experiments in our lab. So it's this is the offer of the facility. But coming to the services, so this more than 100 facilities are there to support the science and the excellent atmospheric research with the services, which are research and scientific services, but also technical services, like, for instance, calibrations of instruments, detailed lab analysis, and so on. But also the platforms also support innovation services and provide training and expertise. And these services are meant to help researchers and scientists from all over the world to address and study. You see here the challenges, these environmental and societal also challenges that we experience in today's world. So climate change, emissions in industrial hotspots, air quality in urban areas, atmospheric hazards, and so on. But so to provide these services and to organize the provision of services and access to services to our user, we have been building over the years a system. And you see here, it's all centered around the user. We have tried to study the needs of our user and design an optimal experience for them in accessing our services. And you see also and this system is also in continuous development based on the user feedback and the feedback also that we receive from our providers at the facilities. And you see here the main components of this system. So first of all, the catalog of services, which is really super important because it's the display, the listing of all the services that are available at our facilities for the user. And we also have managed to produce and prepare an access management plan to organize all the and describe all the processes and how access really happens from the user application to the actual provision of the services at the facilities. And we also have implemented an online tool for collecting all the relevant actors in the access process, meaning the user, the providers at the facilities, and also the experts that will review the user application in case access is competitive, because the availability of the services and the resources requested at the facility is not unlimited. So we need to put in place a process to select the user to have access. And this is the system, as I said, and this is our catalog of services. I just put two pictures or screenshots of our catalog just to give you an idea of how it is organized. We have access, of course, to data services and digital tools, which is totally free, totally open, with no selection, no process in place. But as I mentioned before, for the access to the other services, especially for the physical and remote access at the facilities, we need to have a process in place, because the resources and the services need to be aligned with the availability at the facilities and the capabilities of the facilities. But this here is illustrates to you the different access for the data and for the services. And then the catalog of services is really the listing of all the services. You see here we have 147 services, but more are being introduced into the catalog. So if you really browse there, you can find all our offer, and I'm sure something that can help your research too in the atmospheric science. This is a bit more technical, but it is just to present you and show you how we organize the access process. And this is the entire offer of the diverse type of access that we are available to offer. And I'm like here to highlight that Actress is one of the rare facilities in Europe, which provides all the three main types of access. So virtual access to data, which I said is really wide, direct, open, and free, but also physical access to our facilities, or remote access, meaning that the user can receive the service and also collaborate with the facility staff, but remaining at his own premises. And also we are managed to also offer hybrid, what we call hybrid access, which is any combination of physical, remote access, and of course virtual access. So this is really a huge offer and huge potential for also users all over the world to really benefit from the services in the different modalities. Here you see the condition under which we provide access, and the selection mode in case, as I said, a selection needs to be in place. So selection, user proposals are selected based on the the scientific and technical quality of the proposal of the work to be carried out at the facilities. But we have also a specific criteria and modality of selection for the user coming from the private sector, because they their proposals are different from those of the scientists and researchers. So the process is a bit different, and also the criteria to base the selection on. We have also established a new, let's say, access mode, which is based on the relevance of the need, which drives the user request. So can be technical, the request for a technical service, or for training. And you see, we distinguished between these four access mode, essentially to reflect the needs of the user and adjust the evaluation and the process based on the request. And as I said, we also have for the different typology of access that we provide and the modalities under which the user are selected, we have managed to establish tailored procedures and workflows, and these are all described in a public access management plan, so that it's perfectly transparent to the user when he requests, they request access to our services. They will know exactly how we treat their request, the criteria against which the proposals are evaluated, also the expected timeline for the evaluation, and also the expected care and assistance that he can receive at the facility along with the service, the main service that they are requesting. And to manage the entire process and really to offer the opportunity to the user to apply for our services, we have also implemented an online tool to support the centralized management of the entire process for all our facilities in Europe. And you see, this is some screenshot from this tool, which we call PaaS, Platform for Managing User Access to Our Services, Actors Services, and landing on this platform, you see all the current open opportunities to have access to our services. And these are the open ones, and this is just to show you that this platform is also able to manage all different programs run also in different projects, because we Actris mainly provides up to now access, which is funded by EU funded projects, but we are also working to prepare and establish an Actris access program, mainly funded by with the support of the member countries in Actris, and we work towards that. But at the moment, all the opportunities are under the project. But you see, we have a lot of projects in which our facilities are involved in, and their services can be requested under any of these programs which are running. And just to conclude, yes, this is my last slide, just to give you some figures of the access provision in Actris. In last 3 years, we have managed with our tool and following the procedures that are in our management plan, 18 TNA calls. And also not only for EU funded projects, but also nationally funded projects for access. We are currently managing a program in collaboration with Italy, meaning that Italy has put some funds to finance the access to the Italian facilities or the access of Italian users to all the facilities that we have in Europe and in the other countries. So we have managed the 18 calls. We have been processing more than 600 applications. And you see here the number of applications accepted, but most importantly, the number of users that our facilities have been serving in these 3 years. And here is just to mention that we are 3 units of staff in our unit, summary unit in the head office, and we can rely on more than 391 reviewers and providers. So this is really my last slide, and I'm here, of course, for questions, clarification, anything. I'm super happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Ka. That is like given in the environment challenges faced by our ASEAN region. I believe there will be strong interest for the service offered by ACRIST. I have one question. That is that you have visiting researchers from the ASEAN region to ACRIST yet?
Yes.
Wow.
We have been providing access, from countries in the ASEAN region. It's still a small part, but we are super happy to open our facilities for them. Yeah, and they proposed also project in collaboration with other researchers from abroad. Yeah, so it's really interesting to see this broad collaboration bringing together people from really different regions to study common challenges and troubles.
Is there any questions from the audience? So I have one more questions. Do the researchers need to apply to the code, or is that we can apply anytime?
Yeah, as I said, as for now, we can, it is better to apply under a specific call, which is open and you can see in the platform. But any interested user can apply anytime, but just sending an email to us and we will seek resources and the availability of the facilities to carry out the project. So it's in a way the really founded access is under the specific calls that are published, but based on the availability of the facility and the fact that maybe the user needs to maybe pay for the travel, but the service is totally free, then we can accommodate that as well. Yes.
Thank you. I think that there might be the questions along at the end. So thank you very much. Next, I will turn to the Integrated Research Infrastructure Service for Climate Change Risks, or I-READI. This initiative provides scientific and knowledge services to support cutting-edge research and evidence-based policy making, all aimed at enhancing Europe's resilience to climate change. I had the pleasure to meet with I-READI team at the International Conference on Research Infrastructure in Brisbane last December and was deeply impressed by their work. Today, we are honored to be joined by Professor Jana Klanova, leading figures in environmental health and exposure research, professors of environmental chemistry at Maastricht University. Professor Klanova, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So today I will wear two different hats because in my first presentation I am presenting on behalf of the IRISC, and this nicely follows the presentation of Rosa because she introduced the one singular research infrastructure. And you are probably familiar with the system in Europe because we have this European Strategic Forum for Research Infrastructure, which is the intergovernmental body deciding on the strategic infrastructures to be developed in Europe. And while in the first 2 decades of the existence, the European community was focused on building the one specific topic infrastructures like particles or trace gases or biobanks. Lately, in the last couple of years, the Europe focuses much more on building the integrated, challenge-driven services. So majority of those European grants that are provided to the research infrastructures to build the new services and serve the community are challenge-oriented. So IRISC is one of them that is focused on fostering the climate risk research. I don't need to repeat on how important this problem is and why we need to study the climate change. This slide is important to think about the risks that are related to the climate, that if we want to assess the risk, we need to be familiar with the exposure and the hazard of each specific risk, but also the vulnerability. And talking about the vulnerability, it's a vulnerability of the system, of the society, of the natural components, but also to the human body. So it means if we are talking about risks, it can include the health systems and agricultural production systems and natural services and many others. So the idea was to bring together 14 different research infrastructures, and you see them on the right side of the slide, and you can see that Actris is one of them, one of the strong elements, and it is complemented by ICO's infrastructure that is focused more on the trace gases and climatic research, but also more ecosystem research infrastructures like ANAI or ELTER. But you also see IRENE that I will talk about in the next presentation that is much more focused on the human health. So these 14 infrastructures brought together more than 60 service providers that are relevant for the research on the climate. And the goal is not only to group the services that already exist across this infrastructural landscape, but also to help to develop the new services that those infrastructures could provide jointly. So if you go to the IRISC, you can see which are available facilities, what are the tools, what are the data that can help you with your climatic research. And many of it was already mentioned by Rosa, so I don't need to repeat it. This is, again, something very similar to what she says. Also in IRISC, you have a chance to apply for both the virtual access that is not a subject of any selections or payments, is totally open, but also the transnational access. And as I said, Rosa mentioned that the facilities are open year-round, but these specific projects really help to bring the financing. So it means they really function on the calls. Already in the project, there is a specific number of the calls that are open throughout the project, and we would call upon the scientists to use them either for virtual or the access. So this is the plan of the calls that are or will be open during the IRISC project implementation. IRISC was initiated last year, so it has 4 more years to go. And you can see that there is a whole number of the calls planned. The first one actually closes next Monday, so there is very short time to answer it, but the second will open in September already. So there will be always, and you can also see it in the graph, there will be always an opportunity. Of course, there are important reasons why to apply for researchers around the globe, because this is a sponsored access, so you don't have to pay for the facilities you are using, but it also supports the international collaboration. This is usually the start of the successful large-scale project and collaborations. And we also support the transfer of knowledge and open access to the data, harmonization of the approaches, which should help to understand the climate changes globally. Of course, you know, the bigger good or bigger goal of the whole project is to collect all the infrastructure services in one catalog to be able to integrate the risks, because as I showed in one of the first slides, the assessment of the risk is a rather complex process. So we are trying to bring all those elements together so then the users get really very good support. This is just a very complex table. I will not go to the details, but it shows that we can work for the assessment of the urban areas, forests, coastal ecosystem, marine environment, and there is a whole lot of the services that are offered through our infrastructures. Besides providing, you know, the open access to the singular facilities, IRISC is built around the challenges, and there are 6 different demonstrators. They are looking at various areas of the risks. So there is a risk on human health and coastal regions and terrestrial ecosystems, marine ecosystems, risk of the food security, or the complex multiple risks that are covering all of those domains. And this is again something that Rosa already mentioned, that most of the facilities, they also have design labs that are focusing on driving forward the new technical development and also QA/QC in specific areas. So this is also maintained in the IRISC project. And as I said, the key objective, the general objectives, is to support the climatic change adaptation processes and better understand the climate change drivers, and then also help to mitigate the potential risks. So this is just the information page showing how you can ask for look for the connecting services, that you don't have to search across multiple research infrastructures. But with this project, we can help also to co-design the experiments and organize the knowledge and work with multiple, not only research, but also social actors. I don't need to say much about this slide because Rosa was again presenting something similar, that this is kind of life cycle of your request. When you are asking for the access, we just check the eligibility, whether we have any financing, any support, whether the facilities have the capacity, whether it fits into one of those access modes. It's either challenge-driven or the excellence-driven research. It is very transparent, again, very similar to the open access that Rosa presented for the actress. And again, there is enough resources that we expect that majority of our users will be able to use these services. So here are the contact details. Slides will remain with you after the workshop. So it provides the important links and also QR codes, and you can explore more. And as I said, there will be ongoing calls with the free access to the facilities in the next 4 years. Thank you very much. If you have any questions specifically to this presentation, either me or Rosa would have the answers. If not, I will then go to the next presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor Jenna. I have one very small question. Can teams of researchers be funded, or it's just the individuals?
It doesn't matter. Teams are fine. You know, you can apply as the project, as a research team. Very often what is happening is that European scientists, when they are planning for the research projects, they are already asking for the pre-approvement of our services. So they want to write a specific research project, not infrastructural, but they need a certain type of data or analysis. So they would ask for the pre-approvement and plan already in the project that they will use one of those facilities.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any questions asking yet. So we move to another key research infrastructure in environmental research space, E-READI, the Environmental Exposure Assessment Research Infrastructure. E-READI focuses on the human exposure, that is the full range of environmental individuals experience throughout their life. And their impact on health. It brings together expertise from fields such as chemistry, biology, toxicology, epidemiology, and bioinformatics to provide a holistic view of health and environmental interactions. Once again, we are joined by Professor Jenna, who also serves as the coordinator of E-READI. Professor Jenna, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your kind interaction. So talking about E-READI infrastructure, the presentation will be very different because this is the infrastructure that is at the beginning of the life cycle. So I said that whole this business started in Europe almost 2 decades ago. Actris is on the market for almost 10 years, while E-READI is just finishing the preparatory phase and starting the implementation phase. It is focused on environmental health science and specifically human exposome. For those who are not familiar with the term of human exposome is the word for all the factors that are behind the development of the diseases and chronic conditions in addition to the genome. So if you look at the triangle, pretty much not only genome, but also many other factors are affecting our health at different levels. So like we know the functional genomics, how the genome is translated into the proteome, transcriptome, and so on. Also, all these levels are affected by external factors. And these external factors, of course, include contaminated atmosphere and water and polluted food, but also societal stressors, economically challenged area, psychological stress, and all of it. And this is a very big challenge because this holistic approach really needs to bring together a lot of expertise. So this infrastructure is very interdisciplinary since the beginning. Another challenge is that we really have to think about longitudinal effect. So it's not just, one measurement in time, but we really need to look at the longitudinal studies, both environmental and human health. And those 2 little triangles to the right show 2 different approaches, how we can do it. It's either external or internal. External means that we are measuring the environment we live in and focus on the quality of air and water and food and social stressors. The other one is we take the sample of the human body liquid, then we analyze the exposures, but also the effects at the same time. And this pretty much defines the capacities and data that we need to develop and collect. All this human exposome research was established as a term already 20 years ago, but development was rather slow. But in the last 5 years, it's really busy. It was supported a lot by the big grants not only in the European Union, but also in the US. And there was also always very big communication and collaboration between the US and the EU on this matter. So this is why US partners were part of the establishment of the I-READI since the very beginning. And because this challenge is really global, we focus a lot on building the global community around it. And I-READI has really the idea of being the global infrastructure much more than the European. And this is also kind of call for collaboration. So to the ASEAN community, I would like not only to offer the services, but offer closer collaboration and potentially alignment in building very similar service and infrastructural capacities in Asia, which might be very much in line with the ASEAN mission. This just shows one of the big events that this community organized together in Washington last month. They call it Exposom Moonshot Forum that was co-organized by I-READI and other activities in Europe. And the reason why I'm mentioning it is it was focused on building the global human exposome community. So if you go to this web page and you have the link there on this page, you can sign in. So if you are interested in this kind of research, or your institution, or you know someone, please feel free to share, and you can go to this web page. You can find the declaration on collaboration that you can sign if you are interested, and you can sign up for being part of it and follow it. And of course, pretty soon after this kind of initial development of this research community, we identified the needs for also building the research infrastructures. And this is why in the ESFRI strategic roadmap in 2018, they identified that there is no infrastructure that would be addressing the exposure to chemical compounds, the link between the environmental pollution and human health, and also no human epidemiology that would be looking at the factors behind the development of the diseases. So then we decided to answer this call, and in 2020, we prepared the application for I-READI infrastructure. And you can see the long list of the member states. Those in red at the beginning were the initial founding members, the countries that provided the political support since the beginning. In those 5 years, those countries were able to establish the national nodes and got the national support, and they are driving force really for I-READI. But then in the following period, we also accepted the countries in green and blue, so they are now full member states. In the last year, we got also application from other countries. You mentioned that you visited the E-READI conference in Brisbane last year. We were also there, and besides having the side event on I-READI, we also had the kind of satellite event when we established I-READI Australia in collaboration with Australian universities. Currently, we got the expression of interest also from Japan, Canada, Switzerland, and other countries. So the whole community is really growing. Talking finally about the services that we partially provide, but especially intend to provide in the future, they are organized around 6 pillars, and they are again related to either transnational physical access and then virtual access. The first 3 is especially access to the laboratories, which are chemical, biological, and toxicological laboratories, because the environmental and human risks are very similar to these climate risks that I presented. So you need to know something about the exposure to chemicals, you need to know something about hazard, which is toxicology, and then you need to bring it together to assess the risks. So this is why we need to measure exposure marker, toxicology, but also the effect markers. And then to the right is data. We need to have an access to the environmental data, but especially human exposure data. So bringing together all the cohorts. And this is particularly the area of interest for collaboration with the Asian countries, because there are multiple existing cohorts. And already in the Moonshot event in Washington, we had the specific session just on cohorts where we had people from Japan presenting all their longitudinal human cohorts. We know that there are some in India and other countries. So the ambition is really to make the inventory of existing cohorts, available samples, available data, to be able to build enough data and resources for the complex assessment of the global health, because it can't be done only in the developed countries in Europe and US. So these are the services. I said that this is all area in the development, so you can't go to the one access point of IRIN yet. This is something we are developing right now, but you can go to the national infrastructures. And this is just an example of the coordinating node of IRIN, which is the RECETOX infrastructure in the Czech Republic, because we had this infrastructure in the national roadmap already since 2011. So it means we have 15 years of experience of providing the services. And if you go to this specific web page, you can already ask for the services in all those areas. We are running the environmental monitoring networks. We have 3-generation population studies. We have very massive accredited laboratories, chemical, toxicological, biological, looking into the metagenome, metabolome, proteome, not only the targeted exposures. And those are all services that you can apply already now. And we already have some national funding similar to what Rosa mentioned in Italy. We have the specific funding from the Czech government, who is already providing the financings to support this research. And like in the case of climate, this is also highly political, because you may notice that just last week, there was the International Panel on Chemical Pollution finally approved. So similar to the panel on climate change and the panel on biodiversity, we will now have a panel for chemical pollution. So this will definitely need a strategic partner. And this is what we are also, working closely with them. Our center works as a UNEP regional center, as a WHO collaborating center. So we also have a lot of political connections. Besides that, we invest a lot into development of non-target approaches, but I would like to highlight that everything is really open access. So one of the things that your scientists can benefit from is the open access to all methodical materials, all SOPs, spectral libraries, data processing pipelines, all the reporting pipelines. Everything is freely available. We are building the big data space that would enable, harmonizing and bringing together data from different domains. In that, we collaborate a lot with some infrastructures, including Elixir infrastructure in Europe, but also EMBL, European Molecular Biology Laboratories, and their Center for Biological Data. And also, we do collaborate with the GEO on bringing together the data from the satellites and doing some geospatial analysis of the data to help to bring together the external and internal exposome. The last thing I would like to mention here are the ongoing supporting projects that are helping to build the community around it. One of them is the big European Partnership for Chemical Risk Assessment, which is the community of some 400 institutions investing into development of tools for chemical exposure risks. And as a part of it, one work package is focused on research infrastructures. And then this is directly feeding, the new services and capacities into IRIN. Another project is International Human Exposome Network, which is again the European project that is building the global network. So again, you can go to the web page and you can find a lot of information, how you can sign for the network, how you can be invited into the meetings. We are having the stakeholder meetings every year, typically hybrid, so you can also connect and learn more about it. And I said exactly the same things are happening in the US. So NIH, US NIH last year supported the Nexus project with is bringing together the human exposome community at the US side, building the infrastructural capacities for this research, harmonizing approaches, but also reaching out to the international community. So we are working very closely together. The next things that are happening, that the next Monday and Tuesday, we are having the consortium meeting of IRENE in Prague. The first session will be very informative, kind of summarizing what is happening and will be happening. It's a hybrid meeting. If someone is interested in joining remotely, just let me know. We can send you the link so you can learn more about what is happening. And then we are right now preparing several applications that would already enable the open access to the whole IRENE facilities to the external users, including the Asian. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professor Jenna. I saw some questions from the audience. Susanna, can you help me for reading out the question, please?
I can, yes. So we have two questions from Razil bin Tahir. He's first asking, does IRENE have a plan to also provide services related to next generation sequencing, NGS projects?
IRENE is not focused on genomic facilities. It's a complement to genome. But some of our national nodes, they also have an access to the genomic facilities. And then within those collaborative, I mentioned that we are now preparing the IRENE proposal. That's the collaborative effort among several European infrastructures. So there will be also an access to the genomic facilities.
Thank you. And maybe there's a second question also from Razil. He's asking one more question. Is IRENE planning to venture into machine learning projects, especially for omics data?
Yeah, exactly. This is what we are already investing, because if you really want to assess holistically the broad, not only tens of thousands of the chemicals, but also other factors, you have to work with the artificial intelligence. So we are now investing a lot into building the data processing pipelines for assessment of the non-target mass spec data, but then the same things are already being used for modeling the risk. So one of the pillars of IRENE that I didn't mention is the very last one, focused on the IT tools and models, different types of models, pharmacokinetic, risk predictors, QSARs. So this is where we can apply the artificial intelligence and machine learning. The trouble is we might have a very advanced IT tools, but unless we have a very good harmonized data, there is not big use of this. So this is why we are really heavily focusing on the laboratory capacities, sharing all the good practices and SOPs and QA/QC, because only the data that have a very strong QA/QC can be used in the future. So we will be working on several levels, trying to harmonize existing data, but especially promote the good practice in the ongoing studies, especially the cohort studies, and make sure that in the future we really collect the data where we can use the machine learning and AI.
Thank you. So at this point, I would like to open the floor to a broader discussion on how ASEAN researchers and research infrastructure managers can access the opportunities that we have explored today. So any participant have questions or comments? I do have one. Based on, this is the questions to all speakers. Based on your experience, what are the main reasons why TNA applications are unsuccessful? Maybe starting with Professor Jenna.
I will now speak mostly about the national node, because as I said, it has been functional for more than a decade. we allow, I think we are quite generous. So we allow not only the excellence-driven approaches, the best projects, but we have a lot of collaborations with UNEP and with WHO. We also allow an access for the purpose of support of the international conventions. And then we also do a lot of training programs, like we have the international summer schools organized already since 20 years. So we also, use some of these capacities. So because we have quite generous national funding, we are, I think, very open. And if we refuse any requests, it's more capacity. Because there are two types of TNA access. One of them is remote, so it means somebody sends the samples and then we can organize our own routine around it. But then the true physical access means that somebody comes to the laboratories and wants to analyze the samples. This is also possible, but of course the capacity is limited because the laboratories are accredited. So we can't have just anyone, step in. This must be someone who will be supervised for the whole time, properly trained. So this requires a lot of, human capacities of the supervisor. So that we are really considering carefully that this is a good investment, that we will really help building the capacity of somebody that it makes sense. Of course, we also provide the capacity because we are university to our own students, but in reality, we have two sets of the different laboratories. So we have the accredited laboratories with the limited access of the students or not trained personnel. But then we have a set of student and training laboratories that are also supervised by the research infrastructure, but have more open access.
We have one more question for you. Would some of those training programs be virtual or hybrid?
With so what? I didn't understand.
The training programs that you said that you have regularly organized, is that virtual or hybrid training program, or it is the in-person?
Typically they are on site, so we can accept up to 50, and we have a different topic. If you go to the RECETOX webpage that is in the presentation, you can search it and find the history of the summer schools since 2005. So sometimes it is more on modeling, sometimes toxicology. This year we had a toxicology, last year we had epidemiology or the risk assessment. We usually use the existing projects that we have, the community who is willing to do something. In most of the projects, they are also planning the training element. So it's very handy if we offer this tool and bring the specialists and focus on specific thing. In that, we also collaborate with UNEP, and we are getting a lot of support either from UNEP or for WHO for these trainings. So again, sometimes this can be free of charge. We basically don't, it's not, expensive. Typically the participants are only paying for their own expenses, travel and accommodation. We don't charge anything for training and such. So it's because it is supported by the infrastructure is rather reasonable. But through the collaboration with WHO and UNEP, we can sometimes also cover all the travel and accommodation costs for the participants. And because we are the UNEP Center, in addition to those summer schools, we have the ongoing training programs and workshops almost every month. We are part of the JEF projects in different countries, also in Asian countries a lot, because we support the UNEP conventions looking at the protection of health from the chemical compounds like Stockholm Convention, Minamata, Rotterdam, Basel. And because they have the reporting periods where they need to collect the data, we provide our IT systems and our monitoring networks, laboratory capacities for UNEP. And then we also provide the training specifically for them.
And
Thank you.
I maybe
Yes,
add on a
please.
bit on training. Yeah, also in Actress. Yeah, just to mention that we, as AREAN, we organize summer school or winter school, which are basically for on-site participants. But we also have accumulated experience in organizing virtual training and also MOOC training, so massive online courses, which cover the basics of the atmospheric science. But for specific training, yes, at the facility, maybe also training on the use of some particular equipment or instrument, then the user should come to the facility. Also for shorter periods, and then training can be followed up remotely. But yeah, we have a different type of training also, so we could cover virtual or hybrid. And also we managed to organize last year a combined training in 2 different facilities in 2 different countries in Europe, and it was remote for the participants from one facility and on site for the participant in that facility, and vice versa. So it's really nice and interesting to see how we can combine and offer different type of access also to training, and it's really exciting. This
Very interesting. And hope that there is a chance for our ASEAN researchers to be trained at those research and join the training program. Is there any more questions from the audience? I don't see any more questions from the audience. So, shall I proceed before the closing remark? Susan, shall we proceed to have the group photo first?
Yes, I think it would be a good idea. If everybody who wants to be in the picture, just open your camera, then we can take a group photo. And as we wrote in the chat, you will all receive copies of today's slides, and we've also recorded the session. And I think our colleagues at NASTA will perhaps again host the recording, so you can share it also with your colleagues who couldn't be here today. So if you'd all like to open your camera, then we can take a group photo. You know what it's like. The picture is very important, just as important as the work. Okay, so everybody just quickly open your cameras.
No photo, no event.
Absolutely. No picture, and it never happened in the days of social media. So if you have 10 more seconds, and then we take a couple of pictures. June Ohata, you're right in the middle, but perhaps you don't want to be in the picture, that's fine. So I'll take a fast picture now. Everybody smile. And again. And I have to take the second one. People from the second page. We're a very good crowd today. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'll hand back to you, Kunat.
Thank you, everyone. And I think that as we come to the close of today's workshop, on behalf of the ASEAN RI Task Force, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to all of our speakers for their invaluable contributions, and to all of you for your active participation today. Your engagement has been instrumental in advancing the goals of this task force and in promoting meaningful, effective research collaboration between ASEAN and Europe. We hope today's workshop will inspire new ideas and spark interest in building more accessible and impactful research infrastructure across the region. Unfortunately, our colleagues from the International Carbon Observation System, or ICOST, could not join us today. However, we will include information on this research infrastructure in a follow-up email, which will also contain link to all of the presentation given today. Before we officially closed, it's my pleasure to invite a valuable colleague and best friend, Mr. Aldo de Acricias, team leader of E-READI, to deliver a closing remarks. E-READI has been a virtual partner of the ASEAN RI strategy development from the outset, and we are deeply appreciative of their continued support. Aldo, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Kunnat. Indeed, it has been a real pleasure to the E-READI to have supported this event, which goes exactly in the sense of what we are promoting, which means a dialogue between the European Union and ASEAN, a dialogue among researchers, among a research center, in order to promote joint research, in order to promote sharing of experiences, sharing of data. Of course, thank you very much to the speakers. Double thanks to Jana with two hats. Thanks to Rosa Maria and Daniele, and I see that there is also his colleague Andrea from REACH. REACH has played a particularly important role, REACH Europe, a particularly important role in this process, and Daniele, as a project coordinator, and Andrea have contributed to the preparation of this event. Of course, Kunnat, the first and foremost thank have to go to you as the engine behind this effort to establish an ASEAN regional research infrastructure strategy. I think that you have been the engine behind all this process, and I think that you can be very satisfied to see that there were at least 35 people, in addition to our own people that were attending this event, and I'm sure that for them it has been extremely important. I think that the exposure to the possibility of transnational virtual and in-presence access to European research infrastructure opens new possibilities of collaboration between the ASEAN researchers and research center in the field that we were discussing today. There will be more research that will be done in other subjects. There will be health and physical sciences. There will be other of these events that we are programming, and we are also counting on the support of E-READI ASEAN in promoting this kind of exercises. For us in E-READI, it is extremely important to promote this kind of what I would dare to call an international research strategy, in moments where solidarity and collective efforts are becoming crucial, in moments where certain corporations are closing up. I think that these international scientists, it's extremely important. I invite all those who participated in the event today and that found that they benefited from it to disseminate the good news, inform their partners, if they are research center, their members, if there are a group of researchers there, all their members, so that they participate in this kind of events and take the best possible advantage of this exposure. I would like, of course, to thank my colleagues, Susanna and Simon, for this, the organization of this event. And as Susanna said, we will share with you the slides that were presented today and the whole presentation that has been recorded. Please feel free to share it with other researchers that you think might be interested in that. We will keep you informed about the next sessions, and hoping that you will also attend those ones. And I would just conclude by hoping that for our colleagues in the European Union, for Gianna, Rosa Maria, and Daniele, it was also an important experience to see. Of course, there were not many more than 30 participants, but to see the interest of those participants in the process. And the important thing is that, at least judging from the family names of the participants, we had a very good representation from ASEAN in this event. Thank you very much. Kunnat, the floor back to you.
Thank you, Kun Aldo. And with that, I would like to formally bring this workshop to a close. Thank you once again for your attempts, your insights, and your commitment to collaboration. We look forward to seeing you in the next workshop. Goodbye. สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye.